Space was silent. Not a single sound traveled through the void, but the emptiness was heavy, filled with tension. The alien fleet moved steadily, gliding across the star-strewn darkness. Thousands of ships, massive and armed with weapons designed to destroy entire planets, drifted in perfect formation. The aliens were proud. They had conquered dozens of systems and had never faced an enemy that truly frightened them, or so they thought. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Zarek stood tall, his four glowing yellow eyes scanning the holographic displays before him. His claws tapped lightly against the console as he studied the readings. A small blip had appeared on their sensors, deep in uncharted space. At first, it seemed insignificant, a single, tiny vessel, but something about it did not feel right. A single human ship. Zarek's voice rumbled across the bridge. "This is barely worth our attention. Send a scout. Let's see what this little craft is doing here." The officers nodded and began issuing commands. Holographic drones shot into space, moving faster than any alien craft. Yet even these scouts returned strange readings. Their sensors struggled to lock on to the human vessel. Its energy signature was unusual, unlike anything the aliens had seen before. It did not appear hostile, yet it radiated a quiet power that made even the most experienced officers uneasy. Lieutenant Krill, a young officer with scaled skin and sharp green eyes, whispered to the officer next to him, "Admiral, there's something wrong. The readings, they are unusual, too perfect, too stable, like it's controlling us." Zarek did not respond at first. He had faced many strange situations before, but instinct told him that this was different. Something about the ship's speed, its shape, and the faint glow of its hull suggested a technology far beyond what the aliens had encountered. Minutes passed. The small blip on the sensors grew larger. Slowly, impossibly, the human ship was approaching the alien fleet. Unlike their warships, it did not move with rigid, mechanical precision. It flowed through space like a living thing, calm, confident, and unstoppable. The bridge fell silent. Every alien officer watched as the vessel appeared on the holographic display, and a chill ran through the crew. The ship was huge, larger than any warship in the alien fleet, but its design was strange, dark, sleek, and featureless in places. It absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Faint blue energy lines ran along its hull, pulsing slowly, like the heartbeat of a giant. Krill could not stop staring. "It's beautiful," he said, almost to himself. Then, panic crossed his face. "No, it's too powerful." Admiral Zarek leaned closer to the display, narrowing his eyes. "Calm yourselves, do not panic. This is just a single ship. Even if it is larger than our scouts, it cannot challenge the fleet." But deep inside, he felt a gnawing unease. The ship did not behave like any enemy he had known. There were no weapons detected, no energy flares, no shields visible. Yet the very presence of the vessel seemed to press against the alien minds, like a quiet warning. Outside the flagship's reinforced windows, the stars twinkled like distant fires. And then the human ship appeared, fully revealed, sliding into the formation of the alien armada. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if to inspect them. There was no signal, no communication, only the ship, perfectly still, perfectly aware. The crew murmured among themselves, voices low and anxious. Some turned to the admiral, seeking guidance. Others could not stop staring at the ship's strange beauty. It seemed to challenge them, daring them to act. "Target it," Zarek finally ordered, his voice steady but tinged with doubt. "Scan its hull. Prepare weapons. I want to know exactly what we face." The officers worked quickly, but their screens flickered, showing strange interference. Systems that had never failed before were glitching. Targeting arrays could not lock on. Energy readings fluctuated wildly, and several smaller ships reported temporary power loss. Lieutenant Krill swallowed hard. "Admiral, our ships, they cannot lock on the human vessel. It's affecting our systems, our weapons, our sensors. They are failing." Zarek felt a spike of anger, quickly replaced by fear. He had never experienced anything like this. His claws gripped the console tightly as he barked orders to counteract the interference, but nothing worked. The human ship drew closer. Its immense size dominated the space in front of the fleet. Even the most experienced alien officers froze in awe and terror. The silence was deafening. For a species used to conquering and destroying, for a fleet that had faced countless enemies, this was something new, something they could not predict. Krill glanced around the bridge and whispered, "Admiral, we are facing something beyond our understanding. I think we are in danger." Zarek's four eyes narrowed. He had to act, had to assert control, but even he could not deny the growing fear in his chest. This was no ordinary ship. Humanity had sent something terrifying into the void, and the aliens were about to find out why. As the human warship moved closer, a strange hum echoed across the fleet, felt rather than heard. It vibrated through the hulls of the ships, rattling panels, and unsettling even the bravest soldiers. It was not a weapon, at least not yet. It was a warning, a presence that demanded attention. And in that moment, the alien fleet realized something terrifying. This was only the beginning. The humans had arrived, and they were nothing like the aliens had expected. The void of space seemed to grow darker, the stars dimmer. The alien armada had frozen not from lack of power, but from fear. For the first time in their history, they understood that a single human ship could challenge them, and perhaps could destroy them. The first encounter was not yet over, but the stage had been set. Humanity had entered the galaxy in silence, and already, the aliens could feel the shadow of its power. The human warship moved with calm, almost casual precision through the alien fleet. Its presence alone forced the alien vessels to shift formation, as though instinctively giving it space. The aliens had encountered advanced technology before, but nothing like this. Nothing moved with such purpose yet emitted such quiet dominance. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Zarek's claws drummed impatiently on the console. His four glowing eyes were fixed on the holographic display of the human vessel. "It's just one ship," he muttered, though even he did not sound convinced. "It cannot challenge the fleet." Yet as the ship drew closer, the impossibility of that statement became clear. It was enormous, its dark hull stretching wider than many of the alien capital ships combined. The energy lines etched along its body pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat, blue and faint, yet unmistakably alive. The light bent around the vessel, making it shimmer, and for a moment it seemed almost ghostly, a shadow that moved with intent. Lieutenant Krill leaned over his console, eyes wide. "Admiral, it's reading us, not in the literal sense, but it knows. Every move we make, it knows." Zorak's claws tightened. "Nonsense, it's a ship, a machine. How could it know us?" But deep down, even he feared the answer. This was no ordinary vessel. There was a subtlety in its movements, a careful assessment of the alien fleet that no ship should possess. It was not just approaching, they were being studied, analyzed, tested. Outside, the alien formation strained to react. Smaller ships tried to flank the human vessel, assuming it would move slowly, following predictable patterns, but the warship seemed aware of every maneuver before it even happened. It shifted with uncanny precision, evading the closest scouts with ease. One by one, the alien ships attempting to intercept it faltered, engines sputtered, navigation systems glitched, and several collided with each other in a tangled mess of metal. On the flagship bridge, panic began to ripple through the crew. Officers who had been confident moments ago now whispered in disbelief. It's too fast, too smart," said one. "No ship should be able to respond this way. Something is wrong," Zarek roared. "Focus. Target it. Prepare to fire." Weapons crews scrambled to comply, yet targeting systems failed again. Screens flickered, sensors overloaded. No lock could be achieved. The human warship, enormous and unarmed so far, dominated the holographic space before them. It did not attack, yet it had already proven its superiority. A low hum began to vibrate through the flagship. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but then it grew. Panels rattled, the lights flickered. Alien officers braced themselves, gripping railings and consoles. The sound was not a weapon, it was a presence, a warning, a statement that said, "We are here, do not underestimate us." Krill stared at the display, voice trembling. "Admiral, it's not firing yet. It's destroying us already, our ships. They're malfunctioning, it's not even shooting yet." Zorak's claws dug into the console. He tried to issue orders, but hesitation hung heavy over the bridge. Fear was spreading. The alien officers, proud warriors of countless conquests, were paralyzed by disbelief. Every instinct screamed at them that this was not just a battle, it was a reckoning. The human ship's massive hull continued to glide forward. Its movement was graceful, almost elegant. Despite its size, it felt light, purposeful, unstoppable. Alien sensors could not penetrate its defenses. Energy shields, if they existed, were invisible. Weapon systems detected nothing, and yet the very sight of the vessel radiated power, warning, and control. Outside, the smaller alien ships had stopped their assault attempts. They hovered at a distance, unsure how to engage, unsure if engagement was even possible. The warship had frozen their thoughts, their strategy, their confidence. For the first time in their history, a human vessel, not an army, not a fleet, had silenced an entire armada. Zarek turned sharply to the communications officer. "Send the message. Open hails. Identify this ship. Tell me, who commands it? What is its purpose?" The officer hesitated, thumbs hovering over the console. "Admiral, it's ignoring us. Every attempt to communicate is blocked. The human vessel, it refuses to respond." Silence fell. The entire bridge froze, every officer staring at the display. This single human warship had challenged not just their fleet, but their authority, their understanding of the galaxy itself. Fear was no longer just a thought, it was a physical weight pressing against their chests. Even outside the flagship, the alien fleet could feel the shift. Ships that had been confident seconds ago now drifted nervously. Engines idled, weapons cooled, and the disciplined formation began to fragment. The alien armada, once a symbol of ultimate power, now seemed fragile, uncertain, and terrified. Krill finally spoke, voice low, almost a whisper. "Admiral, they're humans, one ship, just one, and we are already failing. We underestimated them." Zarek did not respond immediately. His mind raced. Every training exercise, every battle he had led, every enemy he had faced, they all seemed trivial now. The humans were something else entirely, a force unknown, unpredictable, unstoppable. The human ship's blue energy lines pulsed again, like a heartbeat in the darkness. It was not aggression, not yet. It was awareness, observation, and a warning that humanity had arrived. And at that moment, the alien fleet understood a terrifying truth. They were no longer the apex species. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy, and their arrival would change everything. The first glimpse of the human warship had frozen an entire armada in fear, and it was only the beginning. The human warship did not fire. It did not even accelerate. It hovered in the center of the alien armada, dark and silent, as though observing them, studying them. Yet its presence alone was enough to terrify every alien vessel in the fleet. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Zarak's claws clenched around the railing. His 4 yellow eyes flicked from screen to screen, watching as smaller alien scout ships attempted to flank the human warship. They moved quickly, trying to surround it, trying to find a weakness, but the warship was always one step ahead. Every movement of the alien ship seemed anticipated. Every maneuver counted before it could even happen. Impossible, Krill muttered. Jaw tight. They know where we are before we move. How can a single ship do this? The human vessel pulsed with quiet power. Its blue energy lines glimmered with each subtle shift in position. It moved like a predator in the dark, calculating, aware, and entirely untouchable. The alien scouts tried to attack, launching beams of energy, but the weapons fizzled before they even reached a human ship. Some ships targeting arrays glitched, others drifted off course, colliding into one another in a terrifying chain reaction. Zarak barked orders, pull back, regroup, fire everything at once, do not let it escape. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos. Officers screamed commands into consoles. Energy beams flared from alien warships, illuminating the darkness of space, but the human warship remained unaffected. Not a single strike connected, not a single blast left a scratch on its smooth, dark hull. Krill swallowed hard. It's untouchable. Weapons can't reach it. Sensors can't detect its shields. Or maybe it doesn't even need shields. The Admiral turned sharply, eyes narrowed. Stay calm. We are the strongest fleet in this sector. We cannot fail here. Humanity will not. A loud vibration shook the flagship. The hull groaned under a force that seemed to press from the human vessel itself. Panels rattled, lights flickered, and several consoles sparked. It was not a weapon, yet it felt like one. The warship's presence was destabilizing their systems, disrupting their technology and instilling a fear that spread like wildfire. Officers who had faced countless battles now stumbled over controls. Younger soldiers began shaking. Even the veterans' battle-hardened officers who had survived dozens of wars felt a cold dread deep inside. They were not just facing a ship. They were facing a force, a presence, an intelligence they could not understand. Lieutenant Krill turned to the communications officer. Admiral, they're not responding. No hails, no signals. It's like they're ignoring us, watching us fail. The officer's fingers trembled over the console. Sir, it's affecting our systems, communications, targeting, propulsion. Everything is unstable. It's like it's alive. Zarak's claws dug into the railing. He clenched his jaw. Alive. It's a machine, a ship. This is impossible. But deep inside, he felt a growing unease, one he could not suppress. This was no ordinary ship. It was not just faster, stronger, or better armed. It was intelligent in a way that humans should not be. And yet, the Warships.com deliberate movement suggested that its human crew knew exactly what they were doing. They were not attacking, but they were in complete control. Outside, the alien scouts were faltering. Some drifted helplessly in space, engines flickering. Others collided with larger vessels in panic. The human warship, with no visible weapon fired, had already created chaos within the alien fleet. A low hum emanated from the vessel, vibrating through the hulls of the alien ships. It was subtle at first, almost imperceptible, but then it grew, shaking consoles and rattling the nerves of the crew. The sound was not audible in the usual sense. It resonated in their minds, a pressure that whispered fear and respect simultaneously. Krill stepped back from his console, his face pale. It's communicating, in a way we can't understand. It's showing us our own weaknesses. Zorek's 4 eyes widened. He realized that this was no longer a battle of weapons. This was a battle of presence, of willpower, of sheer intimidation. The humans did not need to fire. Their warship's mere existence, its size, its energy, its calm dominance was enough to paralyze the alien armada. The human warship moved closer to the center of the fleet, passing effortlessly through gaps that should have been impossible. Alien ships attempted to block it, but each maneuver failed. The humans did not fire. They did not need to. Their silent march through the armada left alien crews frozen in disbelief, unable to act. Admiral Zarak took a deep breath, trying to command his officers. We must fight. We are the strongest. Do not let this human vessel. His words trailed off. He could feel the fear spreading. The alien soldiers were watching a power they could not challenge, a force that reminded them that the galaxy was larger, stranger, and far more dangerous than they had imagined. And then, in that silent moment, the human warship's energy lines pulsed brighter. It was subtle, almost a heartbeat in the void, but it spoke volumes. The message was clear. We see you, we know you, and we are ready. The alien fleet shivered. The arrogance, the pride, the certainty they had carried into this encounter, it all collapsed under the calm gaze of a single human vessel. This was not the first time aliens had encountered humans in space, but it was the first time they had faced one like this. One ship, a crew unseen, technology unknown. And already, it had dominated the battlefield without firing a single weapon. The humans had made their point. And the aliens, for the first time in their history, were starting to understand that they were not invincible. The human warship hovered at the heart of the alien armada, dark and silent. Its sheer presence was overwhelming, like a shadow cast over every ship. The alien fleet, once disciplined and confident, now moved as if in slow motion. Hesitation replaced precision. Fear replaced pride. Admiral Zarak's four yellow eyes scanned the bridge in disbelief. He barked orders to his officers, his voice sharp, commanding, but the words felt hollow. The crew froze, eyes glued to the displays, unable to act. Some officers gripped consoles as if their hands could hold the fear at bay. Others whispered to each other, shaking, uncertain. Lieutenant Krill leaned close to the holographic display. "Admiral, they're paralyzed. Not physically, but mentally. Our ships, our soldiers, they can't move. It's like the human warship is controlling the fear itself." Zarak clenched his claws, teeth grinding. "Impossible. It's a ship. How can it?" The human vessel pulsed faintly, its blue energy lines shimmering in the void. It didn't fire. It didn't even accelerate. It merely existed, and that was enough to freeze the alien armada. Outside, the smaller ships tried to react. They adjusted formation, attempted evasive maneuvers, but every effort failed. Engines sputtered. Navigation systems glitched. Energy beams misfired, scattering into empty space. Pilots shouted overcomes, panic in their voices. But the warship remained calm, like a predator watching confused prey. One alien officer whispered, voice trembling, It's not attacking, and yet, it's already destroyed us." Zarak slammed a claw onto the console. "Do not speak such nonsense. We are the strongest fleet in this sector. Humanity cannot," but even he felt it. That quiet, impossible pressure that radiated from the human warship. It was not fear of weapons, not fear of battle. It was fear of something deeper, something primal. Humanity had stepped into the galaxy not just as a species, but as a force, as an idea, as an unstoppable presence. The human vessel moved slightly forward, cutting a path through the alien armada. Ships that had been ready to attack now hesitated, drifting in formation but unable to strike. The blue energy lines along the hull pulsed brighter, subtle yet commanding. Every pulse felt like a heartbeat, a silent reminder. "We see you, we know you, and you cannot challenge us." Zorak's voice rose, strained with anger and disbelief. "Engage, fire, everything. Do not let this human ship intimidate you." But the fleet did not respond. Weapons failed to lock on. Engines hesitated. Pilots tried to follow orders, but their minds balked. Every officer, every soldier, every scout frozen in fear, unable to move, unable to think clearly. Lieutenant Krill swallowed hard, voice barely audible. "Admiral, we cannot fight. We cannot fight. Not now, not ever." The Admiral's eyes narrowed. He realized a terrible truth. This was not a ship to be attacked. This was a presence that could unravel the strongest minds, destabilize the most powerful fleet, and break the pride of an entire species. Humanity had brought something entirely new to the galaxy, a warship that was as much psychological as physical. Outside the flagship, alien vessels collided accidentally, drifting helplessly in space. Some smaller scouts turned back, engines failing. Larger ships attempted to shield themselves, but the sense of power radiating from the human warship rendered their efforts meaningless. One of the younger officers on the bridge cried out, voice shaking, "Admiral, the fleet, it's panicking." Zorak's claws flexed, trembling slightly. His pride, his honor, his belief in the supremacy of his species all threatened to collapse. He had faced countless enemies, conquered entire systems, yet here he stood, helpless in the face of one human warship. The silence of space pressed down on them. The human warship did not move aggressively. It did not fire a single shot, and yet the entire alien armada was paralyzed, unable to respond, unable to act. The power of humanity was not in weapons alone, it was in confidence, in purpose, in the unwavering determination that radiated from that single vessel. Krill's voice broke the silence. "Admiral, I think we are witnessing something we were never meant to see. They are not like any enemy we've faced. They are beyond us." Zarak's jaw tightened. He realized that Krill was right. For centuries, the aliens had ruled with strength and fear, crushing opposition without mercy. But this human warship silent.com, deadly in presence, had frozen their entire armada. Fear had replaced authority, doubt had replaced confidence, and for the first time, the aliens felt small. And then, without warning, the warship's hull pulsed brighter still, a quiet glow spreading across its surface. The pressure, the presence, the unspoken message, it grew stronger. It was not an attack, not yet. It was a statement. The message was clear. You are not ready. You are not in control. You are beneath us. The alien fleet shuddered. Officers clutched consoles. Pilots struggled to maintain control. Zarak, the most powerful commander in the armada, felt his strength drain away. Humanity had arrived in silence, and yet the galaxy would never forget this moment. The first encounter was over, yet it had already decided the outcome. Humanity had frozen an entire alien armada without firing a single weapon. The alien species would remember this for centuries. Fear had spread through their ranks like wildfire, and even the bravest warriors knew that this was only the beginning. The human warship remained at the center of the fleet. Quiet and unstoppable. The blue energy lines pulsed like a heartbeat, a constant reminder of the power it carried. And in that moment, the alien fleet understood an uncomfortable truth. They were no longer the rulers of the stars. Humanity had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. The human warship had been silent for what felt like an eternity. It hovered at the center of the alien armada. Controlled and impossible to ignore. The aliens had expected an attack, a barrage of energy, a sudden strike, but none came. And that, more than anything, made them tremble. Admiral Zarek's 4 eyes narrowed. He gritted his teeth and shouted across the bridge, "Fire everything, destroy that vessel. Show no mercy." Weapons crews scrambled, energy beams flaring across space. Alien warships unleashed volleys of firepower that would have obliterated any other target. But the human warship did not even flinch. It did not dodge. It did not counterattack. It simply glided forward, its dark hull absorbing the blasts as if they were nothing more than sparks against stone. Lieutenant Krill's claws trembled as he watched. Admiral, it's invincible, not because of shields or weapons. It's something else. Suddenly, the warship's blue energy lines pulsed brighter. A deep, low hum vibrated through the alien fleet, felt in the bones rather than heard with ears. Consoles rattled, lights flickered, and several alien ships lost power entirely. Engines stuttered, weapons misfired, communications went silent. Panic swept across the armada like wildfire. The human warship moved deliberately, positioning itself between several alien cruisers. Without a single shot fired, smaller ships were thrown off course. Navigation systems failed. Ships collided, exploding in brilliant flashes of fire and debris. Alien officers screamed into their consoles, unable to stop the destruction. Krill gasped. They didn't even touch them. Just being near them is enough. Zarek's claws dug into the railing, shaking. It cannot be. This is impossible. One ship, one human vessel, is destroying us without firing a weapon. The human ship's hull pulsed again. Then, slowly, the energy lines extended outward in thin, glowing arcs. They did not shoot, they did not strike, but the arcs connected with alien vessels, wrapping around them like invisible chains. Energy shields overloaded, engines failed, systems shut down. The alien warships drifted helplessly, frozen, burning or tumbling out of formation. The bridge of the flagship descended into chaos. Officers shouted, some crying, some screaming commands that could not be followed. Pilots tried to engage weapons, but the systems no longer responded. They were trapped by fear, technology, and an unknown force they could not understand. Admiral Zarek realized the truth, his heart pounding in his chest. Humanity had arrived, not just with technology, but with power that defied expectation. One ship, its crew unseen, its intentions unknown, had already shattered the alien armada's confidence. Lieutenant Krill whispered, voice trembling, "Admiral, they're not just attacking, they're controlling the battle. They know exactly what we will do before we do it." Zorak's eyes narrowed. "So we are outmatched. Entirely. One ship, one human warship, has defeated the fleet without firing a single weapon." Outside, the human warship continued its silent assault. Energy arcs flared across alien cruisers, disabling them. Smaller ships spun helplessly in space, colliding into each other. Smoke and fire trailed behind the destroyed vessels, burning bright against the darkness of the void. The humans had not yet revealed the full extent of their power. Weapons remained untested. Their presence alone was enough to dismantle the alien fleet. Each pulse of the blue energy lines, each subtle shift in position, each vibration felt like a warning. "You are powerless. You are beneath us." Alien pilots tried to retreat, but the human warship anticipated every move. Engines stuttered. Navigation systems failed. Retreat turned into chaos. Ships were torn apart by collisions, drifting helplessly in the void. Fear had become physical, tangible. The aliens could feel it pressing down on them, shaping the battle itself. Lieutenant Krill's voice shook. They are unstoppable. One ship, and we are finished." Admiral Zarek turned toward the viewport, staring at the human vessel. It floated there, massive, calm, and quiet, yet radiating a power so intense that it seemed to warp the very space around it. Every pulse of energy, every subtle motion, reminded the aliens of their inferiority. The warship's blue energy lines flared one final time. Then, with terrifying precision, they shot outward in arcs of pure energy, connecting with several of the largest alien ships. Explosions lit the void, tearing through holes, shaking the surviving vessels and scattering debris across the battlefield. Alien soldiers screamed, panic spreading faster than fire. Officers shouted into empty consoles. Pilots tried to maneuver, but the warship anticipated each movement. The humans had turned the battle into a spectacle of power, showing that strength was not just in numbers or weapons, it was in presence, precision, and confidence. Zarek's voice was hoarse, trembling with disbelief. This is humanity, one ship, and it has beaten us all, without even fighting fully." Krill nodded slowly, eyes wide. "Admiral, we underestimated them entirely. They are the future, and we are not ready for it." Outside, the human warship hovered, calm and unstoppable. The alien armada was shattered, scattered, and trembling. Smoke and fire drifted through space, but the humans did not pursue. They had proven their point. Humanity had arrived, and no alien fleet would dare to challenge them again without thinking twice. The first encounter was over. The human warship had struck without firing a traditional weapon, yet the alien armada had been broken, frozen in fear, and humiliated. The galaxy had a new ruler, not by size, not by numbers, but by courage, skill, and unstoppable resolve. And humanity's message was clear. The stars were theirs now. The alien armada was in ruins. Smoke and fire drifted through the void, twisting around broken hulls and shattered debris. Thousands of ships, once proud and unstoppable, now floated helplessly, their systems failing, their crews paralyzed by fear. At the center of the battlefield, the human warship hovered, dark and silent. Its hull shimmered with faint blue energy lines, pulsing like a heartbeat. No weapons fired, no lasers screamed across the void. Humanity had struck without aggression, had conquered without attack, and in doing so had sent a message to the entire galaxy. Humans were not to be underestimated. On the bridge of the flagship, Admiral Zarek stared at the human vessel, his body rigid, his mind racing. His pride, his authority, his belief in the supremacy of his species, all of it had been shattered in a matter of minutes. He had led fleets through countless battles, faced enemies that had tested every skill he possessed, and yet this was different. One ship and his entire armada had frozen in fear. Lieutenant Krill's voice was barely audible over the alarms and crackling consoles. "Admiral, they didn't even fully attack. They showed us what they could do, and that was enough. One ship, one crew, has proven they are unstoppable." Zarek clenched his claws, gripping the console so tightly that sparks flew. He knew Krill was right. They had underestimated humans. Entire civilizations had underestimated humans. And now, the galaxy would pay the price of that arrogance. The surviving alien ships began to retreat. Engines sputtered, navigation systems faltered, but fear drove them faster than strategy. Collisions and explosions trailed their paths. No one dared face the human warship again, not without overwhelming force, and even then, hesitation lingered. The warship did not pursue, floated silently, calm and unyielding. Its mission had not been destruction. It had been demonstration. Humans did not need to fire their weapons to show strength. Their presence, their skill, their quiet confidence was enough to dominate the mightiest armadas in the galaxy. On the flagship, the alien officers whispered among themselves. Some were terrified, others were angry, but all shared the same understanding. Humanity had arrived. They were no longer just a species to watch. They were a force that could not be ignored. Zarek's glowing eyes scanned the battlefield, lingering on the retreating ships, on the scattered debris, and on the still, immovable human warship. "They are not like us," he muttered. "They are something else entirely. Something beyond our understanding." Lieutenant Krill nodded slowly. "We will rebuild. We will fight again. But we will never be the same. Not after this. Humanity, they have changed the rules of the galaxy." The human vessel pulsed once more, brighter than before slowly turning away. Its engines hummed quietly as it drifted into the dark void, leaving behind the remnants of the alien armada. There was no celebration, no cheers, only silence, awe, and fear. The galaxy had witnessed the power of humanity, and the echoes of this encounter would resonate for centuries. In the void, small alien scout ships attempted to follow, to understand what had just happened. They quickly realized the futility. The human warship moved with impossible speed and precision, always just beyond their reach. Their sensors could not detect all of its systems, and their weapons were useless. Humanity had demonstrated that victory was not in numbers, not in size, but in strategy, intelligence, and sheer determination. On the flagship, Zarek slumped into a chair, exhausted and humiliated. His officers avoided his gaze, knowing that their fleet's pride had been broken. The galaxy had changed, and they had been powerless to stop it. Lieutenant Krill studied the warship's retreat, a mix of fear and fascination in his voice. "Do you think they will come back?" Zarek shook his head slowly. "I do not know. But we will remember this day. And so will every species that thought humans were weak. They have arrived, and nothing will ever be the same." The alien armada limped away, retreating to regroup, to rebuild, to rethink everything they knew about power and war. But even in retreat, the memory of the human warship haunted them. One ship, one crew, had frozen an entire fleet in fear and shattered their confidence. One ship had proven that humanity was a force that would not be ignored. And in the distance, the human warship continued its journey, silent and unstoppable. The stars stretched endlessly before it, a vast galaxy filled with unknown dangers and opportunities. But the humans were ready. They had shown the universe their power, and now nothing would challenge their resolve without fear. The alien fleet would survive, but it would never forget. Humanity had arrived, and their presence was more than a threat, it was a promise. A promise that the galaxy would remember the first encounter with a human warship, and that fear would spread wherever humans sailed. For the first time, the galaxy understood. Humans were no longer a quiet species on the fringe. They were rulers, warriors, and conquerors in a way no one could predict. and the echo of that first encounter would shape every battle, every fleet, and every strategy for generations to come. The stars were silent once more. Smoke drifted through the void, broken alien ships floated helplessly, and a human warship, calm and unwavering, moved forward into the darkness, carrying the unspoken message. Humanity had arrived, and it was unstoppable.